Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Efeni, the Great Malabite. Action.
Good morning, Dr. Abati.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ayo.
Good morning, Mr. Efeni.
Good morning, Rufa.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, we'll start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of record. We'll start with the story above the masthead. NNPC vows to end fuel importation in 2024 as Port Harcourt refinery begins production in 2 weeks. Senate says no fraud uncovered yet in probe. The group chief executive officer, that's his title these days, Mele Kyari of NNPCL, giving assurance yesterday that this year, 2024, will bring to an end the decade-long importation of petroleum products. The Port Harcourt refinery, which has been undergoing renovation for quite some time now, with a number of postponement of dates, completion of work, but he has put specific dates that in 2 weeks' time, petroleum products will be rolling out of the Port Harcourt refinery. Well, he made a speech at the launch of 2 books, Dynamics of Petroleum Products Marketing and Insights into Crude Oil Marketing, both written by former Group Executive Director of the National Oil Company, Professor Billy Okoye. But beyond book launch talk, let's mark the dates in our calendar. Mele Kyari made a statement yesterday, the 14th day of March 2024, and he said in 2 weeks' time will be 28th of March 2024. So 14 days' time, we expect that petroleum products should be coming out Port Harcourt refinery. So we'll keep a watching brief on that. Now, the lead story, Telcos, Submarine operators confirm major cut in Subsea cable in Red Sea. Customers experience major disruptions in Nigeria, Ghana, South Africa, Liberia, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire. NCC, Telcos say no cause for alarm as investigation, restoration ongoing. Yesterday, in fact, we were the first to experience this. The disruption we had yesterday on the morning show was as a result of this, because we found it difficult to link up with our London center, as it were. And it was, coincidentally, it was our engineers troubleshooting, led by Taiwo Oluwanifishe, who discovered that there was a problem in that cable coming to, and they informed the owners of that cable. That was how they had to inform all their customers that there's a glitch somewhere, they should bear with them. So kudos to our own engineers in-house, Taiwo Oluwanifishe and his team yesterday. But this is a major issue, the submarine cable in the Red Sea. Well, we hope this is not a problem of sabotage because these are undersea cable. So you wonder whether anybody will get there. But if there's a problem, but they are resolving the problem, and we hope before long all will be well. But there's always an alternative. Hence, we were able to get back on air yesterday. Our plan B was activated, and we're able to continue our broadcast. Now, the Daily Independent newspaper, Port Harcourt refinery to start operation in 2 weeks, Mele Kyari. 2 weeks' time, 28th of March 2024. Now, the story below the photograph. Despite threats to kill 286 Kaduna pupils, Staff Defense Headquarters vows to rescue them. Admits hostages being held in locations difficult to get to. Yes, I want to believe that the military, they're on top of this. They don't want to give out too much. There was a briefing yesterday by the Defense Headquarters. I'm sure we'll hear of that in the course of this program. The kidnappers reducing their ransom request from 40 trillion to 1 billion naira. Apparently, they must be high on something. But we just hope the government and the security agents are on top of the situation. And when the president of the country, President Bola Ahmed, said, we are not going to give a dime to kidnappers, the military, the security agencies, they know the implication of that. When the commander-in-chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces speaks, they will have to give action. And I want to believe they're on top of the situation without saying so much. Now, the Nigerian Tribune newspaper also has a security story. Insecurity. NSA, security chiefs, northern governors meet. Military working with foreign partners to rescue abducted citizens. Defense headquarters. Yes. Now, above the masthead of the Nigerian Tribune, the Ibadan-based newspaper reporting Oba Balogun Olubadan of Ibadan land joins ancestors. Yes, the passing away of the Olubadan, the monarch of Ibadan land. Now, if we look at the Guardian newspaper, Japa or modern slavery, how UK visa system, deportation risk, silence exploited care workers. Yes, there is a problem there, but because of the lure of the pound sterling, the difficulties at home, Nigerians who want to do care work are accepting all kinds of conditions to go to Britain and do care work. And there's a special visa for care workers, which some persons activate, take Nigerians across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom. But when they get there, they suffer all kinds of indignity. And because they are receiving hard currency, they don't want to be deported, they bear it. But the Guardian has done a big story on that, pages 4 and 5 of the Guardian. I'm sure that will be of interest to readers. How UK visa system, deportation risk, silence exploited care workers. Now, the Punch newspaper, school attacks. Bandits demand 1 billion naira for 287 pupils. Issue March 27 deadline. Kidnappers called on Tuesday. Gave us 20 days to raise ransom, says community leader. Hostages held in difficult location. Used as human shield to prevent bombardment. Defense headquarters. Now, the New Telegraph newspaper also has that story. Bandits want 287 Kaduna school children ransomed for 1 billion naira. Apparently what they are doing, because the president of this country has told them, clearly, nobody is going to pay you a dime. It was the government they were targeting, hence they were talking of 40 trillion. But with that, they are now looking at the parents by reducing.
It's the same group of bandits.
It's the same group of bandits. We're talking about the 287 kids kidnapped in Kaduna. They are the same people, whatever they are high on, but they know what they are doing. By mentioning 40 trillion, they know only a government can talk of that kind of amount. When the president of the country has told the whole world, we are not paying a dime. They have not come to 1 billion naira. Because they know the families who will be desperate.
So I think there are different groups. So the bandits that demanded 40 trillion were to release the 16 residents recently abducted from Gonin Gora area of Kaduna State. So I think this is another request entirely.
This is another request?
Yeah, the 40 trillion was to release the 16 residents recently abducted from Gonin Gora,
16 residents
yeah.
for 40 trillion.
Yeah,
287 for 1 billion.
Yeah, so I think they are different.
They are working. They are working in sync. I can tell you.
It was those group of vans that asked for 40 trillion, 11 Hilux vans, and 150 motor.
Well, the government says nobody is going to pay them ransom, but the military, we hope they will do the needful, like they have promised that those kids, whether they're the 16 or the 287, they will bring them out of captivity. We hope the military will make good that promise. I know they are not going to put so much on the table because of the implication of doing that. Now, the story below the photograph of New Telegraph, Bagudu. National Assembly topped 2024 appropriation with 1.2 trillion. Says is within its democratic right as Atiku demands probe of padded budget allegation. Now, the Vanguard newspaper, the same story. Abductors demand 1 billion naira vow to kill victims in 20 days. Teachers' welfare packages. Government requires 345 billion naira to pay monthly salaries. The Vanguard is also reporting. Now, the Business Day newspaper. Restaurants boost sales to 4-year high. 4-year high amid rising prices. Business Day newspaper is reporting that despite the surge in inflation, which has dampened consumers' purchasing power, sales volumes of restaurants in Nigeria rose to the highest in 4 years, according to a new report by global market research provider. Now, we look at the foreign newspapers quickly. The Times of London, 20,000 a month off work with poor mental health. Growing crisis accounts for 2/3 of incapacity benefits, with fears over mounting costs. Yes, the problem of mental health keeping workers out of their workplace. Now, the Daily Telegraph, fears for patients in NHS net zero drive. Paramedics concerned recharging electric ambulances will delay response times. Well, the craze for net zero. Now, if we just look at the Independent newspaper, Putin targeted UK minister in cyber attack on Royal Air Force jet. Russia jammed satellite signals for 30 minutes on plane carrying Defense Minister Grant Shapps back from NATO exercise in widely irresponsible act of electronic warfare. Now, the Guardian newspaper, I will just take one story there below the photograph. Netanyahu is barrier to peace, says top senator, of course, the U.S. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, making that statement there. We've all known that Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, being described as the barrier to peace. And of course, there are calls that perhaps it has to go one way or the other. Ruben Rufai and Ayo.
Okay, just to comment on a number of stories. First, we commiserate with the people of the city of Ibadan, the people of Oyo State, and the Olubadan in council on the passing of the 42nd Olubadan of Ibadan land, Oba Olalekan Balogun, PhD, the most educated man to have ascended to the throne of Ibadan land. He ascended the throne in March 2022, I think 11th March 2022. And now his reign ended yesterday on March 14, 2022. He was said to have taken ill, was rushed to the hospital, and he died, 81 years old. He will be, his remains will be interred this afternoon at 4 p.m. The papers have reported. I said he was the most educated man to have ascended the Olubadan throne. He had a PhD in administration and economics. He used to be a lecturer at the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria. He was also an author. He was a director of Triumph newspaper. He was editor of the Nigerian Pathfinder. He was a presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party. He was a gubernatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party. He was in the Senate of the Federal Republic in the Fourth Republic, 1999 to 2003. And he was a man, you know, who was also into business and succeeded as a businessman before he ascended the throne in the line of succession that is the tradition in Ibadan. Now they have a system in Ibadan whereby the line of succession is
clearly defined.
Clearly defined, you know. So today we're told that palace chanters will move from Aliwo, where the late monarch, you know, comes from, to Itabale, which is the part of the town of the Balogun of Ibadan land, who is likely to ascend the throne as the next Olubadan. But, you know, many will remember, you know, the late monarch, Oba Lekan Balogun, you know, for his distinction and also for the efforts that he made to further reform that institution within the short space of 2 years that he was there. The second story that I would like to draw attention to, you didn't refer to it, is that Senegal is now in a celebratory mood. Yesterday, Macky Sall, the president, declared, you know, some form of amnesty, and we had the release of Usman Sonko, the opposition leader, and also his chosen candidate for the election, Bashiru Faye from prison, and that led to jubilation. Now it is clear that the Constitutional Court in Senegal, having ruled that there can be no extension to that election, the election has now been fixed for March 24, and the ECOWAS has appointed a 120-man delegation led by Professor Ibrahim Gambari of Nigeria. Campaigns have already started since March 9. There are 19 candidates approved by the Constitutional Council, 7 million voters out of the 18 million population. They have diaspora voting in Senegal, over 380,000 persons in diaspora who are going to vote. One woman out of the 19 candidates. We hope that the process will be peaceful because the international community is watching. And in any case, they have a majority system. You have to get above 50%. If you don't get above
50 plus 1.
50 plus 1. If you don't get 50 plus 1, then the two top candidates, it goes to a runoff. And if you have a runoff, the winner there wins. There is a story on the front page of Times of London about Gove, that Michael Gove, the community's secretary, naming certain groups as extremist groups that could face a ban, and he has listed 3 Muslim groups and one other group. But the independent advisor says no, it doesn't go far enough. That extremism is a major problem in the United Kingdom, and that there should be legislation to discipline extremist groups and far-right groups who are becoming a threat to freedom in the United Kingdom. Those are the 3 stories that I find a strong.
I'll have loved to sound off on that Chuck Schumer speech as regards Netanyahu, but I know there is no time. But it was a very good one. Somebody had to speak up. There are stories making the rounds now that the White House was actually aware that he was going to say that. I think that's one of the highest level of a reminder to Netanyahu and the call on the Israeli people to do what is right and kick Netanyahu out of there. Here's their problem. His own selfish ambition is stretching this war too long. Yeah,
just a closer look at the Guardian front page. I think it's very important to actually look at the Nigerian Guardian newspaper. Not all that glitters is gold, and it's quite unfortunate that a lot of times, especially for Nigerians, are pushed to want to seek greener pastures abroad because of economic circumstances. However, when they do travel, we've heard horror stories of what they do meet. So perhaps the key message here is to do due diligence before jumping on to get. I mean, it's not just for Nigeria. There are many countries featured in this article. Jamaica, South Africa, minority countries, and also remembering that only recently the UK has announced that health workers would not also have their family members join them in the UK. So these are interesting times. I do hope that it will give us an opportunity to then build back home to prevent this mass exodus of Nigerian skilled workers abroad.
Well, thank you very much, Emmanuel Efene.